Good afternoon. Pictured before you is the bedside table as we left it last week. Today what we're going to do is, the first thing we're going to do is put dust panels right here and here on these shelves, or these draw supports. And then we're going to put the bottom in, and when we design the bottom, we're going to have to design the bottom such that it will allow for seasonal expansion. And then we're going to have to put some draw supports, or bottom supports in rather, along these rails, and we'll have to modify this front rail to do that. But we'll start with the dust panels. And in order to do that, what I'm going to do is clear all the layers and just look at these draw supports right here. So I'll clear all my layers, and I'll bring in the long draw support and the short draw support. Okay, now notice that when we made these draw supports, we created a dado for the dust panel to sit in. To see how big that dado is, we can look at this at the top view in parallel projection, top view. And we'll turn on the X-ray machine here. And notice that those dados go in. Let's just see how far they go in. Looks like about 1/4 of an inch. Or maybe it's 3/8. Quarter of an inch. Okay. So what we need to do to make this easy, we'll take the X-ray machine off. Go to the rectangle tool, start here, and come down here. And now, with the offset tool, we can make that 1/4 of an inch bigger. And now we'll select the inside rectangle and its perimeter, and we'll delete it. And now we have an outside rectangle and perimeter. If I go to the ISO view, I'll raise it 1/4 of an inch, because that's how thick the dados are. They're 1/4 of an inch deep and 1/4 of an inch wide, or thick. And I'll make this a component, call it dust panel. And let's see, we're going to want to move this down, and we're going to want to move it down 1/2 inch, 1/4 of an inch just to bring it to the top surface of these supports, and then another 1/4 of an inch to get it down to where the groove is. So we'll just move it down 1/2 inch along the blue axis. So we'll just come down here like that along the blue axis, type 0.5, and now it's sitting in its proper position. Remember, the edge from here to here is 5 1/8 inches. So that means if we copy and move another dust panel down 5 1/8 inches, using the copy plus control key, five and 1/8 inches. There we go. We got one down here now, and it should be in the appropriate place. Now it turns out I accidentally put 2 extra ones in up here, so I'm going to select up here. I'm going to select one and delete it. I'm going to select another one, delete it, And now I should have two of these in the model. So if I select that and look at the entity info, you'll see there's two of them in the model. I had accidentally created extra ones when I was doing that last procedure, but we've now corrected it. All right, so our dust panels are in. Next thing we want to do is put the bottom in. What we'll do is get rid of everything at the moment, all layers. I'm going to have to create a new layer to put the dust panel on. So I will use a hidden layer, add invisible layer, call it dust panels. And if I take each of these, put them on the dust panel layer, they'll go away for the moment. And if I bring the dust panel layer back in, there they are. They're on the dust panel layer. Okay, we're going to get rid of that, and I'm going to bring in the rails, the bottom rails, and the legs. What I want to do here is a couple things. One is I'm going to modify this rail here, and I'm going to take this back portion of this rail off because it's going to be a support for the bottom. I can't do it on these because that part of the rail is holding the sides and back in. But I can do it up here because this dado is serving no useful function. So I can take this part off and that will become a support for the bottom. I'll have to add 3 more supports here, here, and here on the inside of this one. But let's work on this for the moment. And we'll edit component. First thing I have to do though, just to show you, I'll select it and bring the entity info in. You notice it's called the bottom rail, and there's 4 of them in the model. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have to make this one unique because I'm going to edit it. So I will make it unique, and I'll call it, I'm going to call it front bottom rail. And I'll just copy this here. Notice when I made it unique, it said bottom rail number 1. So it's got a unique name. I'm going to copy this, paste it down here. Now there's one in the model, and it's got the same definition name or component name, and the same unique name or part name, front bottom rail. All right, so now I can edit this, and I won't be changing the other rails. And I've chosen View, Hide Rest of Model, Component Edit, Hide Rest of Model. So let me go back to Component Edit. And now I can see what it is I want to do here. I'm going to bring this part down to the same height as this. And I'll do some cleanup. There we go. All right, now I've got a support for the shelf up here. I'm going to need a support back here. By the way, I'm going to bring that down a little bit more. Right now, no, that's actually fine. That's a 1/2 inch. That's a 1/2 inch, so I don't have to bring it down anymore. But what I am going to do is I'm going to measure down a 1/2 inch here. And I'm going to create a 3/4 by 3/4. Bring that down another 3/4. And let's see. I guess what I'll do for the moment is bring this up to here. All right, now what I want to do is come in and create a rectangle that'll go from there to there. I'm going to bring that out. Till it comes to this edge. If you look now, you'll see I have a support for the bottom over here. And so I'll make that a component. I'm going to call that component side bottom support. And I can copy it over to the other side as well. Just copy it that way. And we have to put it in place. We're having a little difficult time here. There we go. All right, now I need one in the back. So what I'll do is just create a line here. Take my rectangle tool. Go here and here. If you'll notice, looking at the VCB, this one's going to be 3/4 by 1/2 inch instead of 3/4 by 3/4. That'll give me the same 1/2 inch support as the front gave me. So I'll extend this out to this edge. I'll select, and I'll call that, I think I called this side, these were side bottom support. I'm going to call this back bottom support. Now, if I clear everything but the legs, well, let me clear the rails. Something looks wrong here. And I see what's wrong. I see what's wrong. This bottom edge is supposed to be here. And now we have to move the back edge up. There we go. All right, we can erase, I think, the construction lines. We don't need those. If I look at this from the top, I'm going to want to create a line. I want to make sure I get it in the right place, however. So I'm going to look at this at a bit of an angle. I want a line, construction line that's there, and then along the green axis frontwards a ½ inch. Now if I go to the top view again, what I just did was, if you notice the rail, the front rail here had a cutout for this bottom support, and I want that right there. I want to show where that is. Now what I can do is I can trace this I'm going to trace my bottom. Start here, go here, and here. Here, here, here. There, there. You'll get an idea of what I'm doing here in a moment. And there you go. Now I have a bottom drawn in. I can give it thickness. Let me do that. I'm going to give it thickness. And before I do, let me bring the rails in. I'll just bring the rails in here. And let's go around here. I'm going to select it. Oh, notice I didn't come up front far enough with that front line. So I'll do that now. I'll extend it. Not sure what this is over here. I extend this front line. There we go. Move that front line into there. And now I'm going to bring this up, give it thickness. Not sure what happened there. There, now I gave it a ½ inch thickness. You can see that down the VCB by bringing it up to the top of these rails. And for the moment, I'm going to call that the bottom. Make it a component. Call it bottom. And now what I want to do is I want to get rid of everything, all layers, clear all layers. Just look at this for a moment. You'll see I got 3 bottom supports and a bottom. I'm going to take the bottom supports and put them on their own layer. I have to create that layer first. So I'll create a layer called bottom supports. I'll select all these supports and I'll put them on there. And I can get rid of these construction lines now. And what I want to do is I don't want a solid bottom, because if I make it out of hardwood, this solid bottom, and it expands and contracts, it will want to push the legs apart. The grain is going to run in this direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the center point. (15 5/8). I want half of that. Well, half of 15 is 7 1/2, which is 4/8, and half of 5/8 is 8/16, and half of 5/8 is 5/16, so that's 13/16. So that'll be 7 and 13/16. Let me try that. And let's just see if I did it right. 7 and 13/16. 7 and 13/16. So that is the center. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to want a gap of about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to come over this way 1/16. There, that's better. And I'm going to come over this way 1/16. Now watch what I do here. Come down 1/4 of an inch. Over half. Down 1/4. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to come down 1/4 of an inch. Over half. Well, for the moment, I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do instead is come all the way back, and you'll see why in a moment. Now I'm going to take this part I'm going to explode the bottom now. I'm going to take this part and cut it out. Now when I select this, let me get rid of the those. Let's just check around here, make sure there's nothing connected. Looks like I have something connected. I don't want that line. And I don't want that line. There we go. I'm going to make that a component and call it front bottom. And now I'm going to modify what I'm going to do is come to the center line here, come over a 1/2 inch, down 1/4 of an inch, and back over. I'm going to take that, extend it all the way to this point. I'll erase this. Come around the other side and erase it. What I've got here is the shiplap joint with an 1/8 inch gap that cuts these two boards in half. And now I can make a component out of the back one. Call that the back bottom. And I've got two bottom parts. And I'm going to put both of those, I'm going to make a layer called bottom. And place both of these on the bottom layer. All right, now let's see what we have here. I'm going to go front. I'm going to bring layers in one at a time. Bring the banding layer in. And there we go. Bring the bottom layer in. Bottom supports. Dust panels. Legs. Long draw supports. Notice that the dust panels are in the slots the way they're supposed to be. Bring the rails in. Short draw supports. Sides. Top. Top trim. Top trim filler. And we're doing pretty well. The only thing we need now is the draws, and we'll be done. We're going to do the draws next week, but what I want to do right now is some cleanup. I'm going to go through every layer again and just make sure everything is named properly. We'll take this out of here and bring in the outliner. And I'm going to clear all layers and go through the layers one more time, one at a time. So we'll look at banding. And I'm going to bring the entity info in here. All right, what I'm going to do is give this a unique name. I'm going to call the draw on top draw 1 and the draw on the bottom draw 2. So I'm going to call this draw 1 banding. And this one I'm going to call draw 2 banding. All right, so they're both banding parts. That's the component name. The unique name, or the part name, is draw 1 banding and draw 2 banding. If I select one or the other, I select the appropriate part. Okay, so much for the banding layer. Let's do the bottom. We only have one back bottom. So what I'm going to do, since there's only one of these in the whole part, drawing, I'm going to call the part name plus the component name back bottom. Similarly, the front bottom, I'm going to do the same thing. And so there's the back bottom, also called a back bottom part. There's the front bottom, also called the front bottom part. So you get the idea now. And I'm going to do this with the rest of the layers and make sure that we have unique names for each of the parts. Here I've got 2 of these in the model. So I can't copy this name, just put it up here. But what I can do is copy this name, and I can call this the left one. Left side bottom support. Left side bottom support, and it's a side bottom support. And I'll call this one the right side bottom support. So I got a left side bottom support, it's a side bottom support component. I have a right side bottom support, and it's a side bottom support component. Components with the same name have exactly the same dimensions and outlines and everything else. So that's why these are both exactly the same fabricated parts. They just have different part names because one goes on the left side and one goes on the right side. All right, let's move on to the dust panels. Following our convention, I'm going to call this the Draw 1 dust panel. And this one I'm going to call the Draw 2 dust panel. And let's go to our next layer, the legs. All right, the back legs aren't properly named. The front legs are. I got a left, whoops, wait a moment. I got a left back leg, which is the back leg. I got a right front leg, which is but I don't have a right back leg. So I'm going to call this right back leg. That's a left back leg. All right, that wants to be called left front leg. All right, so we have a left back leg, a left front leg. That's a back leg and that's a front leg. We got a right back leg. We got some extra stuff in here. I think that's actually a bug. What just happened there is a bug in SketchUp, that it sometimes automatically places a name of one of the last parts you were playing with in the name box. All right, so here we go. Left back leg is a back leg. Left front leg I think we finally got it. Left back leg is a back leg, left front leg is a front leg, right back leg is a back leg, and right front leg is a front leg. So now we got it. We'll look at our draw supports. Well, I'm going to call this one a draw. These are all long draw supports. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to call this first one Draw 1 left. All right, so it's Draw 1 left long draw support. This is Draw 2. Draw one left draw support, draw two left draw support. Draw one right draw support. Okay, draw one left long support, draw one right long support, draw two left long support, draw two right long support. We're all set there. All right. The filler strip, there's only one in the model, so I'm just going to call this filler strip. There's only one top front rail in the model, so I'll call this top front rail. Back bottom rail, back top rail, front bottom rail, left bottom rail, left top rail, right bottom rail, right top rail, top front rail. Okay, I think we're all set there. I'm going to do a similar thing with the draw one back and draw one front. So this will be a draw one, short draw support. The names might seem a little long, and they are. I'm just going to copy that name. Draw one, draw two, okay. Draw one short draw support. Okay, draw one back and draw one front short draw support. Draw two back and draw two front short draw support. So we're all right there. The backs, all of this looks right already. The top, there's only one top. Notice how it added, the moment I started typing top here, it added some stuff here. I'm just going to say, go to the end and delete it. Okay. There is a bug in all right, front top trim, side trim. Okay, that's all set. And lastly, my fillers are all set. All right, now let's bring everything in. The only thing I don't have in here right now is a construction layer that has construction lines on it. Front view that has that 2D front view that we've been using to design this thing, and the dimension layers. So I left those off. Everything else is here. If I wanted to, I could quickly not redo my list, but examine my list here. And for instance, if I wanted to see everything that talked about a draw, there you go. That's everything that talks about a draw. If I wanted to see everything that talks about front, that's everything that talks about front, so on and so forth. But I can also very quickly that way check my naming. All right, I'm going to save this. You should too. And next week, we're going to do the 2 draws. And that'll complete this series of in the design from scratch of a bedside table. All right, see you next week.